because we are going to die. Happy Tortured Poets Department release week. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Simone if you're new here, and I do videos about Taylor Swift. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a deep dive and a full track list and variant analysis and prediction for Tortured Poets release week, Taylor Swift's new album that's being unleashed on the 19th of April. And I don't think we are ready for it. When I heard the announcement, I died. And when I saw the track list, I died dead. Like, I can't process it, like, I can't even. I'm 100% sure this is a Jover album. And Folklore, Evermore, and Midnights, we're all just kind of leading up to this. And I'm sorry, but Taylor made us this way. I've never needed to know what each song on an album is about this much in my whole life. And obviously, we love Taylor, and this is a terrible thing that she had to go through. But we're very grateful that she shares it with us in her art, because it really helps us to deal with these kind of things in our own lives. And that's why we love her so much. That's why I love her so much, because her songs have always helped me through everything. But dropping this album on us is also a terrible thing for Taylor to do, because we are going to die. How are we going to recover? Is it going to be possible to go on after this? Is she gonna send us some help? Like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm gonna press play. Like, how am I even gonna press play? I'm so anxious. Like, I don't know. I can't process it. Okay, so first, let's recap the last 3 months and the Grammys. Starting with the Grammys, I had to wake up at like 3 a.m. in the morning to watch it, but it was like so worth it, because we all know by now what happened then. And can I just say, the look, like Taylor's outfit, that's one of my new favorite outfits of hers, like, ever. And that was in fact an Easter egg for the album, and as was her entire 2023 street style that we only realized when she announced the album, and the cover art was revealed. And we also know by now Taylor won 2 Grammys that night, lucky number 13 and number 14, and I was just literally ugly crying. I was trying not to scream because everyone was still sleeping. I was so happy. There was also the Celine Dion incident, but I really don't think Taylor snubbed her, like, on purpose or anything like that. I don't even think she snubbed her. Like, she was just shocked and overwhelmed, and her friend was still kind of like talking to her, and I mean, she just made history. Yeah, so I really don't think that she did that on purpose. They've also interacted like numerous times before, so yeah, I don't think there was any like bad blood there, so to speak. Obviously, we all thought we were going to get the Reputation Taylor's version announcements, especially when she changed all her profile pictures to grayscale. Some people were saying it's like sepia, so we weren't sure, but we know now that was an Easter egg for Tortured Poets. But yeah, there was no explanation, just Tortured Poets instead. I'm just really thrilled for this, and I just think people need to stop, like, now with the when is Rep TV coming? Like, it will come, and it's already been recorded. But we have a whole new album of like 20 new songs, and I'm still not processing it. Like, I'm not even worried about Rep right now. Like, yeah, it's coming in less than a week. Taylor said also this is a secret that she'd been keeping for 2 years. So she'd been writing it in like since like 2022, before Midnights even came out. Also, again with the twos, I also feel like some of the songs might be sort of current, because I mean, now we know what she was doing at Electric Lady Studio so much, and she was there a lot throughout the year. I really think she was writing throughout the breakup and breakdown of their relationship, and even Midnights was kind of part of this. So Tortured Poets is probably like the continuation. Midnights could have been the first draft, and she was actually planning something much more intense with Tortured Poets. And Midnights kind of threw us off the trail, because she said it was about 13 sleepless nights in her life, which I don't know that I believe. There was also the website that went down on Grammy night that pointed to Swifties being on a false trail for Reputation. So she knew we were waiting for it, because there was an error code that was an anagram for the word red herring. And we also know all about that by now. Another part of it was like the album name abbreviated and backwards, and it said TPD coming 321, something like that. I mean, the minute the album cover was on Instagram, I was literally like screaming, crying, throwing up. What is this? I mean, it's our best album cover ever. That's what I thought. But then we got the variants. Like, I can't decide. These are all just amazing. I love it. So, after the Grammys night, we were all collectively in shock, and just a few days later, our shock kind of multiplied because then she just dropped the track list on us. But this is because it was leaked. I'm pretty sure this is why she did that. I'm sure she had a big rollout plan for this. But yeah, we got the track list, and then Taylor did another thing. She announced a variant called the Bolter during the Eras tour, and she did it again 2 more times, announcing the Albatross and finally the Black Dog. I was lucky enough to be watching all of this on live stream, and I just lost my mind, especially when she played You're Losing Me for the first time live ever. Like, what does all this mean? And the covers are just again stunning of all the variants. Okay, but we will discuss those later. So with each variant, there also came a set of possible lyrics. Oh yeah, and then Taylor did another thing a few days ago, which is release entire playlists according to the taglines on each variant, as well as one of the songs on the album. And she confirmed that this was because of the 5 stages of grief theory that many Swifties had been speculating the variants to be about, and she was getting on board with this. But we will also talk about that later. So to top it all off, on the 8th of April, we got a set of actual confirmed lyrics from Taylor herself on this little typewriter video, which is just so awesome. And the lyrics are, crowd goes wild at her fingertips. Half moon shine, full eclipse. How did Taylor plan this in advance to coincide with the actual eclipse on the 8th? Like, did she write the song with the eclipse in mind? Like, what was she doing there? Like, how does this work? Anyway, so that happened, and I think this lyric has got to be from Clara Bow, or maybe I can do it for Broken Heart. Reminds me of her doing this during the Eras tour. Yeah, so that has been the rollout for Tortured Poet so far, and on the one hand I can't wait for Friday, and like I said, on the other hand I'm just so nervous and I don't know how I'm going to be able to listen to it. I'm just gonna procrastinate because that's what I do when I'm anxious. I'm literally just dying to know what these songs are going to sound like. Is there going to be a music video? I can't. I'm just so excited. I can't. Can I also just say that, like, out of all the albums, this is my absolute favorite title so far. And it's the longest title she has ever given us. Also, it's just so her. Like, it literally just encapsulates Taylor and her art. And it fits me so well, as well, because it's like my vibe. And I think it's going to be my all-time favorite album of all time, ever. I think I've already said that, but like, of all time, ever. I also think it's important that we get this album before Reputation Taylor's version, because this is gonna be her side of the story now that it's over. We all pretty much know that this album is autobiographical because Taylor said that she had to write this album. It meant so much to her, it was a lifeline. She had to get through something and it really helped her, and I think we all know what that was. So let's discuss the tagline for the manuscript variant, which was the first variant we were introduced to when Taylor announced the album. It says, all's fair in love and poetry. I wonder if this is going to be a lyric from the title track, because it makes a lot of sense that it would fit in there. Either way, I love it, and I feel like there's a war reference here, and as we will see, there's a lot of war or potential war references throughout the titles. I think this tagline has a lot to do with the potential reasons that she might have chosen April 19th to release the album. I think she's declaring war. She is saying nothing will be left unsaid, so we need to be prepared. First of all, we know what happened last year in 2023 on April 19th. But first, let's go through everything that happened in that time period and that has happened historically on the 19th. April 8th, 2023 was the day the breakup with Joe went public. 11 days later is April 19th, TS11. On the 19th of 2023, the 19th of April, Taylor went to dinner with her friends and they all unfollowed Joe, and then rumors spread that Joe had been cheating on her, which we don't know to be true. American Revolution, interestingly enough, also began on the 19th of April in 1775. There were like 13 colonies that severed their ties with the British. Joe's British, which we all know. American, and a fun one, the 19th of April is National Cat Lady Day. April is National Poetry Month. Yeah, I mean, it just all ties in so well together. That, can it really be a coincidence? I don't know. Yeah, but we could be way off. We don't know if this is why she chose April 19th. It could just be a coincidence. I don't know. Maybe it's just promotional. I'm not really one to clown. Like, I don't like it. And I feel like Easter eggs aren't like every single thing that Taylor does. So yeah, and I don't support like bizarre out there theories on all the math theories and everything like that. But this kind of makes sense. So yeah, so there's that. My videos are not going to be about those kinds of theories. But yeah, those theories do kind of make sense. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I just thought it was worth mentioning it. The back cover has a line that says, "I love you, it's ruining my life." And it has to be a lyric, I think. And I will also be discussing that later in the video. So let's get into my predictions. So like I said, when I first heard the title for this album, I was like, this is going to be hands down her best album ever, her magnum opus with the most poetic lyrics ever. On April 19th, we will be needing dictionaries and we will be looking up famous poetry. I think this album is going to have a very dreamy, melancholy, but darker and sultry kind of sound, and maybe a little bit jazzy thrown in there. I don't know, for some of the tracks, I don't know. Maybe a little bit of synth pop, because what she did at the Eras tour with the piano malfunctioning, it's like, damn, piano's playing a synth sound. Like, what was that? I don't know, I think it was an Easter egg. So I think that's kind of what we can expect. Sort of Midnight's 2.0, but like darker. When I first heard Sluts on 1989, I was like, I want an album with this vibe. And I'm wondering if this album is going to have that kind of vibe, because it kind of feels like it could. Maybe it's much more poppy, but I feel like, especially because of the name, it's going to be more poetic, dark, sexy, like the older, more sophisticated collegiate sister of Midnight's. I feel like it's going to have this 1920s, 30s, black and white movie kind of feeling, cinematic. I think some of the tracks are going to hurt, most of them. And it's going to be an emotionally taxing album, but I think there might be also some very playful tracks and like upbeat moments. I think it's going to be sort of Lana Del Rey-ish. Maybe that's why Lana was with her the whole time at the Grammys, I don't know. Taylor has also said how much she admires Lana's work, so there could be elements of it. It's all going to be very much Taylor at the same time. And it's going to be something experimental and something we've never really heard of her before. Maybe, like I said, with some elements of Midnight's, Folklore, Evermore, but I'm not sure. That's just the vibe that I would really like. Like, Wikipedia describes Lana Del Rey's genre or sound as noted for its cinematic quality and exploration of tragic romance, glamour, melancholia, with frequent references to contemporary pop culture. So I'm hoping this is kind of the vibe that we're going to get. And I hope it's going to be very dramatic and very dreamy, and if we look at the track titles, like, I'm sure it is. So if I had to classify the genre so far, I think it could fit into, I think it's going to be alternative, indie pop, a little bit of synth, yeah, with a lot of melancholy and sultry, dark kind of sounds. Like, yeah, it's going to be something completely different. And I think we're going to be, like, knocked out of the park. I don't know if we are even expecting what it's going to sound like. The name itself is very dramatic and melancholy. And I still keep calling it the Dead Poets Society sometimes. Yeah, I think it could be called that in the fandom, like, just fight me. Like, everybody was calling it that for the longest time. I think we're getting, like, we've got it right now, but it was difficult. The track I'm claiming as my new favorite song of all time is the title track. I don't know why, it just speaks to me. a poet and a writer who can sometimes feel very tortured and dramatic. I'm a total drama queen, so I'm living for this. I'm so excited to hear So Long London, Clara Bow, The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, Fresh Out the Slammer, But Daddy, I Love Him. My boy only breaks his favorite toys. I can fix him, no really, I can. Just, yeah. Tracks that are really intriguing to me are LOML, Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, The Alchemy, and obviously the 4 bonus tracks. So yeah, let's go through each track. A lot of these tracks and possible meanings and coincidences just affirm to me that Tay Voodoo is real. And the universe kind of rearranges itself for Taylor Swift and for what she is doing, and I've never seen anything like that. And everybody's always talking about it, so it's gotta be a fact. Something that I've also noticed is an overarching theme throughout the track list and the vibe of this album, which is crime and detective work. Starting with the possible file prologue or possible lyrics on the manuscript variants, that even gives a crime scene vibe. And even the album cover, like a dead body on a bed. I don't know. So let's look at the prologue or lyrics. It says, "And so I enter into evidence my tarnished coat of arms. My muses acquired like bruises, my talismans and charms. The tick, tick, tick of love bombs. My veins of pitch black ink, all's fair in love and poetry." Oh my gosh. Sincerely, the chairman of the Tortured Poets Department. Just without the oh my gosh. I had to insert that because this just gives me goosebumps. Oh my gosh, this album is going to be amazing. I feel like that whole piece could be from the title track. And evidence, the word evidence is also mentioned in Hits Different, as well as some other interesting things that we will get to. She said in Hits Different, "I find the artifacts cried over a hat, curse the space that I needed. I trace the evidence, make it make some sense. Why the wound is still bleeding. You were the one that I love. You were the one that I loved. Don't need another metaphor, it's simple enough. A wrinkle in time like the crease by your eyes. This is why they shouldn't kill off the main guy." And obviously, like the tick, 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 there's also been a lot of clock themes throughout Midnights and on the Eras tour, as well as on her outfit, the choker at the Grammys. And obviously, love bombing is to make someone think at the beginning of a relationship that you're really into them and you really love them, and just to shower them with affection, and then just to completely turn around and just ignore them and give them the silent treatment and just be terrible to them and give them no more affection later on. And that's something that some people just do to get something out of you at the beginning of a relationship, and then they just stop caring about you at all. And I think we've all had to deal with somebody like that before. And then when we get to Clara Bow, we will discuss another interesting lyric in Hits Different. So yeah, to me this album is really giving crime scene vibes. The crime scene of her love that died. Uncovering how that really happened. Her love that was murdered. So maybe it's like her catharsis to work through this and process what really happened, to solve the mystery of why it ended. So let's go through the track list and the writing credits. Fortnight was written by Taylor Swift and Post Malone. The Tortured Poets Department is written by Taylor Swift and Jack Antonoff. We love a Jack song. My boy only breaks his favorite toys. Only Taylor. I mean, the songs written by only Taylor is like, you know, this one is going to be something. You just know it. And there's like, I think there's like 2 or 3 songs written by only Taylor herself. Down Bad, Taylor Swift and Jack Antonoff. So Long London, Taylor Swift and Aaron Dessner. So this is going to be a sad song. But Daddy, I Love Him, Taylor Swift and Aaron Dessner. Sad. Fresh Out the Slammer, Taylor Swift and Jack Antonoff. This is going to be a bop. Florida, Taylor Swift and Florence Welch. Guilty as Sin, Taylor and Jack. I mean, bop, maybe, mid, something like that. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? Taylor herself. And when we get to my predictions, this is going to make a lot of sense. I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can, Taylor and Jack. Bop. LOML, Taylor and Aaron. I thought this was going to be a bop, as I say in my predictions, but we'll just have to see. I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, Taylor and Jack, The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, Taylor and Aaron, The Alchemy, Taylor and Jack, and Clara Bow, Taylor and Aaron. So yeah, I just quickly wanted to insert this because this just came out while I'm actually filming this video. So yeah, I just quickly wanted to insert this because we love the writing credits. We love to see who worked on this album. Okay, so Fortnight featuring Post Malone. Okay, so we don't know too much about this one, but it's going to be the tone setter for the album because it's the opening track. It might have something to do with Taylor's first concert after the breakup was officially announced, because a lot of Swifties are saying that would have been a fortnight, which is 2 weeks. It's also a fact that she sang Invisible String for only 2 weeks, which is also a fortnight, and then removed it from the setlist. So could this song be about how she finally realized in the matter of a fortnight that things weren't going to work out, or how she felt after that fortnight, or how she felt after that announcement? Obviously the timeline is uncertain, so we just don't know. My theory is that they broke up long before they broke the news to the public. Fortnight is also a very British word. This is also the first time ever Taylor has done a collab in the opening track, so that's something to note. So is Post Malone maybe going to be like the male perspective, like in Exile? Is it going to be that kind of song? Then we get to the title track, which I'm so excited for, The Tortured Poets Department. Obviously, the first thing that's interesting is that this is a title track because a lot of her more recent albums didn't have a title track. So it's going to be the theme of the whole album. This is also such a long title, but she always makes it work. This is also the first explicit song of many on the album, and it's almost 5 minutes long. The longer the better, I can't wait. I am speculating that the possible lyrics and the prologue from the first variant could be lyrics from this song. I feel like we're all in agreement though that this song is about Joe Alwyn because of the WhatsApp group chat called The Tortured Man Club. I mean, I think Taylor is going to have a field day with this title and this song. Another direction this song could possibly take is that it could actually be about poets. Poets of the past or great poets of the present, maybe all of them, or how Taylor herself feels like the ultimate tortured poet. She's after all the chairman. So that's very interesting. But I think we all think this is a Jover song. I'm wondering if this might be similar to The Lakes, which would be awesome, like thematically, because I love The Lakes so much. It's my favorite song on Folklore. And we also know that Joe and Taylor spent time at the lakes together, so this adds another layer of possible meaning to this theme, if it's related to this theme. People have also always tried to put Taylor in the box of only being able to write sad breakup songs, and she herself has said that she wasn't sure if she could write music if she was ever really happy. But maybe this song could be a commentary on how she feels that it's her destiny to write sad breakup songs because of the breakup, which is sad, but that happened again. And maybe it was something that she was feeling at the time that they broke up, that she's just always going to be writing breakup songs because this is most likely a breakup album. Not even most likely it is. Like, I think we all know that. I was also wondering if the song would be maybe written by multiple people, but obviously this has been disproven because of the little edit that I'm going to make into this video to tell you guys who the songs have been authored by. And obviously this one doesn't have too many co-authors. I think it's just Taylor and Jack, or Taylor and Aaron. But yeah, I will insert that into the video because that literally just came out. So my theory on that was like, maybe it's about their life stories and how it's connected. Maybe Lana could have been a co-writer on that. So maybe they're the Tortured Poets Club. But yeah, unfortunately that theory has been disproven. It could still be like inspired by them, I don't know. But I don't think that's the actual, yeah, I don't think it's about that anymore. I feel like this is a Jover song. I think it's going to be super dramatic and mind-blowingly beautiful, melancholy, sultry, super poetic, but this is definitely going to tell us what does the Tortured Poets Department mean to her, what it really stands for, I'm here for it. I'm hoping, praying, begging for a music video, dying for a music video. This would be awesome. Okay, so then we get into track number 3. My boy only breaks his favorite toys. This is also the favorite is spelled the British way. There's a few lyric parallels that come to mind here. Because you break them, I had to take them, and this is why I can't have nice things, which is on Reputation. Bad boy, shiny toy with a price, you know that I bought it, cruel summer. I think this is the lyric that everybody immediately thought of. The lyric to me feels like this one in Cruel Summer, like she knows this is a bad boy kind of guy, but she sees him as the shiny new toy, something that she has to have, even if it has a price, the price being her heart and heartbreak and potentially getting into the wrong kind of relationship. Because this song is about a rocky start to a relationship and doing it anyway, even though she knew she would get hurt, because this is a breakable heaven that she's singing about. And that's how it's been from the start, I think. And that's why this happened. And the title makes me think of My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, makes me think of almost like how people would treat someone they love badly because, well, love, because they feel like they can get away with it, and because they feel like that person will just take it because they have to. I feel like this song might be about someone taking their frustrations out on their partner who they profess to be like their favorite person, but actually they are being sort of emotionally abusive. It made me think of Cardigan as well. You put me on and said I was your favorite. So if we look into this line in Cruel Summer, I'm always waiting for you just to cut to the bone. Devils roll the dice, angels roll their eyes. And if I bleed, you'll be the last to know. I feel like she is waiting for him to do something or say something hurtful towards her because she's come to expect it. And he never really knows how she feels and that she's hurting either. He doesn't pick up on that. If I bleed, you'll be the last to know. Which is reminiscent to my face was grey, but you wouldn't admit that we were sick. And I mean, the whole song, even though it's a total bop, Cruel Summer, is sort of falling for this person who you know might not be the right one and has some character flaws already. And Cardigan is about how this guy took her for granted, even though he said she was his favorite, and then he left. That's what we surmise from Cardigan, is that he didn't come back. So it sounds to me like My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys is going to be about being taken for granted and being broken by someone who said you were their favorite. That's just the vibe I'm getting from this song. And a toy is obviously something that someone plays with. So maybe the song will be about feeling like you are only a toy and you are only ever a toy to someone. And I really do think that she is referring to herself as the toy here. And the only being used makes me think that this person, the boy, has a tendency to only hurt those people closest to him. And the words my boy conveys the guy basically being like a man-child, like a total man-child. So yeah, this boy, this man-child, who just broke her down, which is icky. We get into track number 4, which is Down Bad. Down bad is a popular slang term that means to be in love with someone, you have it bad for them, but they might not return your feelings and you spend your time kind of pining away for them. The Google definition is that it's for someone you know isn't a good person. And we know Taylor has had quite a few experiences like this, quite a few songs like this. My mother accused me of losing my mind, but I swore I was fine. I mean, Death by a Thousand Cuts, Tolerated, yeah, even in Evermore and Folklore, which I've always thought is much more autobiographical than we initially thought. But I feel like Taylor might do something here that gives the term another meaning. I don't know why, but I keep feeling she might use it in the context of being in jail. I don't know why that's the first thing that came into my head. Like, she's down bad. She's doing time for a crime that she maybe didn't commit, because a few tracks later we have Fresh Out the Slammer. But we will get into that. And this album is just full of crime themes. So, and we know that's something that Taylor really loves, is like crime and true crime and like things like that. It could also maybe be related to depression. Being down bad could maybe be like being down bad with sadness and depression after something devastating happened. Or it might be the literal meaning, and it might be about her feelings for someone. Maybe something that was like a fling with a certain musician, or like it could be about developing feelings for someone like Travis Kelce. But I have a theory that none of the songs on the album are going to be about Travis, because I feel like this album is going to be her closing the chapter on her previous relationships before him. Maybe we'll get some songs about him in the future. I don't know. I feel like it's going to turn the meaning around for some reason. I don't know why I feel like that. Because, she loves to take a popular phrase and then turn it into something else. And I think another one of these tracks might also be like that, but we'll still get to that one. Maybe we could also see it as how she would have felt during her relationship with Joe towards the ending. Maybe she was down bad because it was ruining her life. I love you, it's ruining my life. Maybe this lyric is from the song. I don't know, but I feel like the lyrics will more closely match up with the variants with those tracks. I don't know. But yeah, it might be. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And then we have track 5. So Long London. I mean, when we all saw this title, we were like, it's Jover. So long, London boy. Help me. I'm not okay. I'm really not okay. This track should have just been called Help Us All. I mean, just the So Long London. It's So Long London. I mean, what more can I say about this? I feel like we've all pretty much accepted that this is the antithesis to London Boy. And I don't know, it's just too much. It's just too much. That's all I can say. I don't know too much about it, but it's obvious. It's just obvious what it's about. I mean, being a track 5, it's going to be the most emotional on the album. It was co-written by Aaron Dessner. I mean, yeah. Track 5 is always just her most emotional, and I think this is going to be her most emotional and best song ever. Personally, I agree that it's going to be her farewell to her London boy, and maybe to London boys in general, because we know she loves a London boy. Since the track is So Long London, I feel like it does convey a sense of genuine sadness and loss at having to say goodbye, and I also feel like she might be using the city metaphorically as their relationship, sort of like Cornelia Street. But I think it might also include references to the physical city, because we know how much she loves London, and she lived there with Joe, and yeah, she has to walk away from this because of him, because it would remind her too much of it. She could never walk Cornelia Street again, so she wouldn't be able to live in a place like that. This album is also coming out on the same day that the American Revolutionary War began, like we mentioned earlier, and I mean, So Long London. The British also fired the first shot, and that was called The Shot Heard Around the World. So is this going to be her shot heard around the world? Is this going to be her declaring her independence from Britain, from her London boy, as Miss Americana? And is it going to be the Slay of the Century? Yes, it's going to be the Slay of the Century. Track number 6, But Daddy, I Love Him. I think this is going to be a bop. Well, I used to think so, and then I saw that Aaron co-wrote it, so maybe not. But Taylor does like to hit us with like a very upbeat kind of poppy number after the track 5, so who knows, it could still be that. The title itself is a famous quote from The Little Mermaid, and Taylor also dressed up as Ariel back in 2021, when that was the same year You're Losing Me was written. I think for like a New Year's Eve party where the theme was to go as your childhood hero. Something that is interesting to me is that The Little Mermaid is centered around a mermaid not being allowed to be with a human. Taylor has also always seemed to get involved with people her parents don't approve of. Love Story, Dear John, Ours, etc. So could this be a reflection of how she feels after realizing that she made a mistake, loving the person that the song is about yet again, but also how she did it anyway? Another thing that The Little Mermaid is about is how Ariel essentially gave up her voice to be with a man, and this is what the majority of Swifties think the song is going to be about. The Little Mermaid also came out in 1989, because of course it did. as it would. And Ariel was 16 years old, the same age Taylor was when we first heard her voice on her debut album. Not technically the first time, but like, you know, it was her first album. Do I think it could be about Harry Styles because of the pic of him wearing a t-shirt with the phrase on it? I don't know. I feel like that phrase from Little Mermaid, though, is probably a very common one, and so this is probably a coincidence that it was on that t-shirt. I don't know, but I don't think it's going to be about him. I don't know. I don't think she would like still write songs about him now. But we do have question. I don't know. I don't know. My prediction is that it's going to be about her losing her voice to be with a man, Joe, because she told us in her Times Person of the Year interview how she felt like she was locked up in her house for so long. And I also feel like that could have something to do with her masters, her voice, and her re-recordings. Yeah, the phrase "but daddy I love him" also gives me like old Hollywood movie kind of vibes, very dramatic, and it also conveys the feeling of a teenage girl whose parents don't approve of her love interest. So this could be about someone new she had an interest in that her parents or the general Swiftydom didn't approve of, and we all know who that is. That's really a lot of things that the song could be about, or it could not be about Taylor at all, or her relationships at all, but I don't think that's super likely. Yeah, so as I said, this song could be a bop, it could be playful, maybe it could be sort of tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, maybe her reflecting on the situation and laughing about it, or it could be totally melancholic and dramatic. If we look at the picture of Ariel crying on the rock, that's super dramatic. There's speculation from unconfirmed sources that this is going to be... No, I think this has actually been confirmed, that this is going to be the longest track on the album. I'm wondering if it's going to have track 5 energy. And maybe it is going to be very emotional and sad. Maybe it's going to be her talking to herself about the situation she was in, how she felt that she really, really loved him. But daddy, I love him, like she did. I feel like a lot of the track titles convey to me that this album, like I said, will be autobiographical and mostly sad. But I don't know, I just have a feeling this one might be, maybe it's like a dramatic bop. Okay, now we get into something that I am highly anticipating. Fresh Out the Slammer. What do you mean? This is the first title that gave me, like, something. I don't know, something. I was just so excited. It gives me Major Crime vibes, Getaway Car 2.0. There's a lot of coincidences when it comes to this song. First off, it's coming in just 2 songs after So Long London. Oof. And also, we know what happened when she got fresh out the slammer and with who. I'm feeling a very reputation-coded, getaway car, vigilante shit vibe here. I mean, maybe a certain Maddie Healy was driving the getaway car this time around when she had the lights of freedom on her face. I think this one is going to be a direct reference to her relationship of 6 years when she might have felt like she was in jail with a certain person. She said in her Times Person of the Year interview that she had felt locked up in her house for so long. And we also didn't see her much during the time that she was with Joe. And I mean, there was a candid of her in these butterfly jeans walking out in the town in New York just after the breakup news. She was literally fresh out the slammer. So it's like about how super happy and free she felt to be back as the most famous person on earth. And like no longer hiding herself away and just walking the streets and just that freedom, you know. Like she doesn't want to be in the basement. Our girl doesn't want to be in the basement. In the basement could feel like being in jail. I mean, what else could it really be about? It's just, yeah, I mean, there's a million things it could be about, but this is just so obvious. In Ready For It, she also says, "You could be my jailer," obviously referring to Joe. Might have been a play on words because that was their couple name as well, I think. Is this her escaping from her jailer? I mean, she doesn't want to be in the basement, and I think he kept her there. Like, maybe not physically, but like, you know, the feeling. So I think maybe it's going to be a follow-up to Bejeweled, a new anthem for us. This is also a Jack-produced song, co-written by Jack, so yeah. Then we have Florida, 3 exclamation points, featuring Florence and the Machine. I literally have no idea what this one could be about, other than what I've seen Swiftie saying that her first show after the breakup announcement was in Tampa, Florida. I'm not a fan of Florence and the Machine. I don't really like her voice or her sound. It's not my vibe. It makes me feel kind of anxious. Like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. So I'm not too excited about this one. But Taylor is notorious for keeping her female collabs like not very upfront in the song, so I don't know. Um, yeah, but I'm excited to see why there's 3 exclamation points. 3. It's probably going to be very significant. Also, Taylor was on a break for 2 weeks, like a fortnight, during the breakup announcement before she played the show. So that's interesting too. So this would have been the first show that she introduced the one instead of Invisible String, if I'm right, if the math is mathing. And she would have been fresh out the slammer then in Florida, I guess. Then we have Guilty as Sin, question mark. Another crime reference. What are the other 2 songs with question marks that are about the same person? Is it over now? And question. Obviously, there's also I Heart question mark, but that's really long ago, so no. Those are all great songs, especially Is It Over Now, which is one of my all-time favorite songs since the 1989 Vault came out. But I don't know, is this going to be continuation in that saga? I really don't think so. This album has a different subject in mind. This song brings to mind something interesting about her discography, which is the theme of morality, sin, grace, falling from grace, that we have gotten throughout it. I mean, I fear I have fallen from grace in Castles Crumbling, State of Grace, Holy Ground, Heaven, Sin in Blank Space. Like, the entirety of Would've, Could've, Should've is that kind of theme. So yeah, Taylor has always kind of grappled with these concepts in her music, or at least used them as metaphors. Is the song maybe about someone cheating on someone else? Is the narrator questioning their own guilt in a situation? Like, do they feel guilty, or questioning someone else's guilt? Is this going to be another one of those songs that she changes the meaning of a phrase? I feel like, because this is said to be like a very poetic album, not a lot of titles maybe are going to be as straightforward as they seem. My prediction is that this could address the Joe cheating rumors, maybe to put them to an end, maybe to clarify them, or to address her own part in the conflict. Yeah, but I guess we will just have to wait and see who is guilty as sin. This one is also an explicit. Explicits usually also convey anger, shock, or disbelief. So I'm going to guess that most of these tracks with explicits are going to be very happy songs. Even if they are beat, they're going to be vindictive, angry, shocked. Yeah. Who's afraid of little old me? Literally everybody now. Yeah, be afraid. Be very afraid. Someone in particular should be very afraid. Joining the ranks of the question mark songs, this is another very intriguing track title, and it was written by Taylor herself. I think there was another one I forgot to mention that was written only by Taylor, but I'm going to insert that in this video anyway. And Swifties immediately drew the parallel to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, a 1966 movie about an elderly couple having marital problems and who kind of play these mind games with each other and their guests that they invite to their house. I've never seen it, I'm not sure, but that's what the summary is about on Wikipedia. And it stars none other than Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor, also referenced in Ready for It from Reputation. I mean, he can be my jailer. Burton to this Taylor. In Cornelia Street, she says, back when we were card sharks playing games. I thought you were leading me on. I packed my bags, left Cornelia Street before you even knew I was gone. Or could this be another song addressing her masters and Scooter Braun? I don't know, I feel like she has touched on that a lot. But maybe this is going to be much deeper about her inherent power. So I think it's going to be like a reflection of how Taylor feels about herself. Maybe it's going to have like a castles crumbling, the Archer kind of vibes. Or will it have like a tongue-in-cheek, bejeweled kind of anti-hero energy, like who's afraid of little old me? Everyone, duh, because she's the most famous person in the world and you really should watch out because Tay Voodoo is going to get you. I really hope it's going to be a reflection of Tay Voodoo, and I hope it's going to be a bop, or it could be more internalizing towards not wanting people to see her in the slides. She also has told us she's still trying everything to keep us looking at her, and it's very important for Taylor to be perceived in a positive light. Or yeah, maybe it's going to be the karma or look what you made me do of this album. Maybe it's going to be the new, absolutely quintessential Taylor Swift song about her obvious power that people who have wronged her should be afraid of. I mean, who's afraid of little old me? It's very sarcastic, and I think it's about people underestimating her, really. Then we have I Can Fix Him, No Really, I Can. I'm super excited for this one because, girl, haven't we all been there? I mean, Renegade also exists in the Taylor Swift cinematic universe, and this is literally going to be the death of me. This is the epitome of a toxic relationship, putting all your effort into someone as the victim, and I don't believe that anyone can be fixed or that someone else should do it for them. Everyone should do it for themselves, and I don't think this song is about knowing that she could do it. I think it will be about her trying to convince herself or others that she could do it when she knew deep down that she couldn't. Yeah, but I'm hoping that it might be a little bit cheeky. It might be more about more serious, because this is a strong parallel to Renegade. Get your shit together so I can love you, which obviously didn't happen, and then she gave us You're Losing Me. Is this going to be a reflection on a period in time where she truly believed she could fix this man of hers? Did she feel like she was losing herself trying to do it? Or is this going to be a bop, a new girl power anthem for us to stand up against toxic relationships? I'm sort of hoping it's going to be a bop. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that this one might be more satirical and joking with herself, not taking herself too seriously, blank space vibes, sort of like, or maybe like a tornado warning, Sabrina Carpenter kind of thing, maybe just more fun. And also because of the no really I can, I feel like it might be sort of reflecting on how she thought she could fix this guy and just laughing at herself about it, or when she was trying to convince herself of this but she knew it wasn't true, how she sees it now in retrospect, maybe in a humorous kind of light. Also have to think about the fact that this could also be about Maddie Healy, because the 1975 titles I've seen another Swiftie say that they use the structure of parentheses a lot. LOML, all lowercase. Why? The only thing I can think is what other album was written in all lowercase? Reputation, which is about who? Joe. Yeah. I think as a fandom we have all collectively sort of agreed that this abbreviation is not what it seems, that it could be taken to mean love of my life, but we all feel like Taylor might do something with it, like change it to loss of my life or lie of my life or something like that. Also, has Taylor seen the way Swifties make her songs into acronyms and just decided to hop onto the trend with the song? This is also another explicit, so I'm prepared for anything. Is it maybe diminishing the love of her life by writing it in lowercase, like you're no longer the love of my life? Or might she be referring to her music or to her fans as the love of her life? Another long-lived kind of scenario who got her through this bad time. Maybe her career. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be very interesting and I'm super excited for it. Harry Styles also has a song called Love of My Life, which is about the city he lives in and loves. So that's interesting. They've got a lot of song titles that parallel each other. Also, something that comes to mind is Taylor's angry performance during the Eras tour, early on in it, of I Don't Want to Live Forever. there was literally fire in her eyes when she was singing, wondering if I just dodged a bullet or just lost the love of my life. And this also made me think of, I glared at you with storms in my eyes. Maybe it's sort of like playful and less serious, like thinking someone you just met is the love of your life and being like, oh my gosh, this guy is the love of my life. And it's not even serious yet, but you know, it's like just kind of in a joking way, something you'd say to your girlfriends. So maybe it's about a new guy she just met that we all know about. Who knows? I can do it with a broken heart. We know this is definitely about Taylor. This being track 13 is so significant to me. And after going through the playlists that Taylor put out, which we will still talk about, I feel like this is really going to be her revenge song of the album, even if it's a bop. But I'm kind of feeling like it might have a vigilante shit or I did something bad kind of vibe. I don't know. But yeah, I'm kind of divided whether I think she's going to make this a cider song or a bop, maybe something in between. I'm thinking this one is going to turn out to be another Swiftie anthem. I feel like this is going to be a commentary on how she had to take on the Eras Tour and everything that happened in 2023 up until now while healing from a 6-year-long relationship and a breakup, which is probably a very difficult thing to do in the public eye. Like, I can't imagine what it must be like to try to heal from a breakup in the public eye when all you probably want to do is like stay in bed and cry for a year. I mean, and she wasn't like super into some of the songs she was singing at the start of the Eras Tour, and we could see her like crying and yeah, just looking upset. And but that did change while into it. Maybe Taylor had already been over it like before it was announced, but it was still hitting her when she sang these songs. Although a lot of her performances on the Eras Tour pre-Travis Kelce do suggest that she was still like in the healing stage and that she was having a hard time singing those songs. But yeah, I think it's going to be about Taylor being a phoenix, once again rising from the ashes. Maybe it's coming out on the other side of You're Losing Me. She can do it with a broken heart because she felt like she was tired of being this phoenix. But then she found the will and the strength through the Eras Tour and everything that happens and through the fans to just go on again after that. So maybe it's a thank you to the fans once again. And she's literally done it all with a broken heart. She has topped the charts, won so many awards, gotten increasingly more famous. Like, she's now the most famous person on the planet. She became a billionaire. She released the Eras Tour film. She met Travis Kelce. And so much more happened in the aftermath of this relationship than has happened in the past 6 years. So yeah, she most definitely can do it all with a broken heart. So yeah, I think this is going to be a song about Taylor taking back her courage and her power and talking herself into doing all of these things. Maybe it's going to be sassy, bejeweled energy. Maybe it's going to be more sad. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for this one. The smallest man who ever lived. Okay, there's just no question in my mind who this is going to be about. Some Swifties said that there was something released that it was co-written by William Bowery, which would have been hilarious, but the actual writing credit list disproves this. But it is weird that a lot of her songs was co-written by William Bowery Joe about their own impending breakup. So yeah, if this had been like that, that would have been really funny. It was written by the subjects of the song. Who knows? I don't think so, because the writing credits just prove this. So something that comes to mind is maybe she's being reflective on how the subject of the song might be feeling now. Maybe the tables have turned and now her integrity has made him feel small. And maybe it's always been this way. I've always felt like that line, your integrity makes me feel small. It's like I'm wasting your honor. Didn't mean that Taylor thought that he had a lot of integrity. It's more like she felt he was condescending and self-important, and she felt like she just couldn't live up to that. So yeah, I don't really see how the song could be anything other than a diss track, and my theory is that it's going to slay. And I mean, the smallest man who ever lived. That sounds sort of like having a shortcoming, an emotional shortcoming, probably. And maybe we are totally wrong and it's not about Joe at all, but about some hermit poet in the Middle Ages, who knows? Or it's about Scooter Braun, who could kind of qualify in this category. But then again, There was this whole article about Joe claiming that he would be very upset if this was a diss album. And that whole article kind of gives the smallest man who ever lived energy, so yeah, we will just have to wait and see. Taylor has something very interesting in store for us here. Now we get to the alchemy. So an alchemist is someone who transforms matter into gold, or who tries to create the philosopher's stone, which is supposedly able to grant immortality. And in more spiritual communities, it can be seen as like a spiritual alchemy, to transform your life into an abundant one, to transform yourself into gold. To be an alchemist is to transform yourself. So is this song going to be the story of how Taylor transformed her life? It also is very Middle Ages coded, magic school, dark academia, those kind of vibes. Interestingly enough, she does also mention talismans and charms in the prologue. So is this maybe from this song? The first thing that came to my mind was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I'm not sure how you say his name. Paulo Coelho. Sorry, I butchered that. But in this story, a young man sets out to find a treasure, and on the way he meets an Englishman, interestingly enough, who is searching for the alchemist. Then he ends up meeting the alchemist, this young man who was searching for the treasure, and he eventually reaches his destination without the Englishman, and finds that the treasure he was looking for was never at the destination, but at the place he originally dreamt about it. While he was searching for the treasure there, he was also robbed. So that's there. That's interesting. Maybe it has something to do with the whole process of her re-recording her masters and leaving a certain Englishman behind, and there having been robbers to the east and clowns to the west. I don't know. It just feels very interesting that this ties in so well. So maybe this is going to be about her own transformation and reinvention yet again. Taylor is literally the ultimate alchemist. She's always reinventing herself and turning her negative experiences into gold through her songwriting, and literally making millions out of it. Gold. Gold is also a very important subject in Taylor's discography, starting during the Reputation era. So let's go through some of those lyrics. Made your mark on me, a golden tattoo. You painted me golden. Your body is gold. I once believed love was burning red, but it's golden, like daylight. And there's also Gold Rush from Evermore. I'm sure there's like more lines that I'm not thinking of right now, because Taylor loved the gold analogy. I don't think we saw it on Midnights. The thing about alchemy though is that it can't transform matter into real gold. It's just the pursuit of trying to turn matter into gold. So maybe the song is about the standpoint of Taylor being the first actual person to be able to do this, by transforming her art into gold. I don't know. Or maybe it's about her having thought that she had found the gold, but it was never real. It was more like fool's gold. Maybe the alchemy refers to how she had seen her love as gold and had thought that she had fixed or transformed someone when she never really had. Maybe it's about her giving up on finding true gold, or how she was the one doing the fixing. She made it gold. She's the alchemist, but like it wasn't true gold, and she was the only reason the relationship was going on as long as it did. Like, I'm the best thing at this party. So, or maybe it's about the transforming the way that she views love altogether now. Maybe we are moving away from the gold metaphor, because you never really can make gold through alchemy, to something else, a new era of Taylor's views of the world and love, which is also sort of an alchemy. Maybe it's about realizing that love isn't always golden, it isn't always perfect. Maybe it's about true science behind falling in love and staying in love. And that, yeah, it's not always perfect or golden, and that kind of love doesn't exist. Maybe it's about her finding that out. Also, Afterglow is track 15, the same as this one, on Lover. So is this like the antithesis? What if all these songs are the antithesis to Lover and Reputation songs? In Afterglow, she says, chemistry till it blows up, till there's no us. And from Reputation and Lover, we know that Taylor thought they had a lot of chemistry. I mean, alchemy and chemistry could be related. If alchemy is finding a solution, an elixir, maybe it's referring to a solution to their problems. So the chemistry didn't end up blowing up in their face or burning them down, which brings to mind the burning down of the Lover House, and maybe not wanting to admit that they were sick. So there's that, and they thought a cure would come through in time, but it didn't. Then we get to track 16, which is Clara Bow, which I am so excited about. I love it when Taylor uses an historical figure as a reference in a song. So excited for this one. Clara Bow was a silent film star in the 1920s, and she was literally the first Hollywood it girl. The term was literally coined because of her. Her life in the public eye was chaotic, and there were a lot of rumors and speculations and public scrutiny about her and her love life. So much so that she ended up going to a mental institute later in life. And this brings to mind the lyric from Hits Different that I mentioned earlier. I heard your key turn in the door down the hallway. Is that your key in the door? Is it okay? Is it you? Or have they come to take me away? It hit me the other day that this might be referring to being taken away to a mental hospital. Most likely because she feels crazy after this breakup. It's very interesting to me, and obviously I've no idea if Taylor wrote this while knowing she was going to release a track about Clara Bow, but I'm sure she must have known about Clara Bow for years because Taylor has always been very interested in history and especially old Hollywood stars. Clara Bow's story also brings to mind Rebecca Harkness and the subject of The Lucky One, and Taylor herself, of course. So I'm thinking this song is going to be similar to The Last Great American Dynasty and The Lucky One, even nothing new. I think Taylor is going to be comparing herself to Clara. We also realized that the Bejeweled and Anti-Hero music videos were literally an Easter egg for Clara Bow, as well as her Grammys look. Also, the most interesting thing of all is that Clara Bow's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is on none other than the corner of Sunset and Vine. This is what I mean when I say the universe rearranges itself for Taylor Swift. Clara was one of the only silent film actresses to successfully transition to spoken film, which is again calling back the theme of rediscovering your voice, like with Ariel. There's just obviously so many similarities between Taylor being the current it girl and Clara's lives, and obviously we hope that it won't have the same ending or turn of events. We hope that Taylor will continue to make music and be happy. But I think this song is going to be about how much Taylor relates to Clara. The lyrics that we got earlier this week, I feel definitely could be from this song. Crowd goes wild at her fingertips, half moon shone, full eclipse. It sort of sounds like this could be about a very famous it girl. Although I also think it could fit in with I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, as I've also said earlier. Okay, so that's the full track list prediction that I have for you guys. Now we are going to get into the bonus tracks. The first is The Manuscript, and this one I literally had no clue what it could be about, but I've given it a lot of thought, but it really left me stumped in the beginning. Okay, so a manuscript is obviously the physical copy of a book or a story in the olden days. It was usually written by hand or a typewriter later on, and we've gotten a lot of typewriters on Taylor's and Taylor Nation's Instagram posts promoting the album. This is also giving dark academia, author from the early 1900s kind of vibe. So maybe it's about her writing the new manuscript of her life. Maybe it's akin to Mastermind, that she is the author of the manuscript, since we already do kind of know that she is the chairman of the Tortured Poets Department. Maybe it's about her new plan for her life and what's next. Maybe it's about the relationship breakdown and the full story of it. But I think it's going to be about Taylor writing the narrative of her life, how she wants it to be, and just rewriting it. And something else, if Taylor had announced this variant in Tokyo Night 1, along with the album, as she had planned if she didn't win a Grammy, she would have played Dear Reader, which was the final bookend of Midnights. And I mean, maybe she's going to be revealing more of the circumstances in the song that happened in Dear Reader, like a continuation. I mean, that is just such a context clue as to what we can expect from these songs. And I really think each variant was announced with a very specific acoustic set to give us a clue of what it's about. So let's look at the other variants that are only like available on exclusive vinyls and CDs, which sort of sucks for a lot of people, especially in South Africa, but yeah, that's just the way it is. First up, we have the Bolter, which was announced at Melbourne Night 1. My first thought about this one was someone bolting from a situation or a relationship. There's also a pub in London with this name, and there is a book called The Bolter about a woman called Idina Sackville, who in the 1920s became sort of notorious for marrying and remarrying like 5 times and was seen as a bit of a scandalous woman, much like Rebecca or Clara Bow and of course Taylor herself. So I think this might be an exaggeration, another blank space-esque kind of song about how Taylor feels that people are viewing her now after this breakup. She also played You're Losing Me when announcing this. While I was watching this live on streaming, I mean, that was iconic. And I also think it's a clue because I think it means he really did lose her because he didn't do something, say something, risk something, choose something, and she bolted. So I think this one is going to hurt. Or did he bolt after she asked him to do that? So it could go either way. Yeah, so I think this is going to give us a clearer timeline of events and the album in its entirety, because I think after Midnight, Taylor just kept writing, and especially because You're Losing Me was written in 2021. I think this was the end or nearing it already, and I think Midnight was the pre-breakup album where there was still uncertainty, and this is the real breakup album. Another thing that she did at the Australian shows was started with Red the night she announced the Bolter, and then ended with Maroon. So yeah, there's that. Then the Albatross. Am I allowed to cry? This is such an interesting title. Never would have thought about it. Obviously, an albatross is a large seabird, and it can fly for 6 years above the ocean without returning to land. I mean, that can't be a coincidence. Also, is it maybe somehow related to Glitch, because she specifically mentions 6 years there, 2,190 days of our love blackout, or is it just because the relationship was in fact 6 years? Did Taylor feel like the albatross lost at sea for that time? Its wingspan is also 11 feet. This is TS11. I mean, coincidence? Probably. We don't know. There are also 2 significant poems that everyone has been talking about, and I feel like maybe this could be one of those bizarre theories that's out there, but I don't know. I think it bears mentioning because it does kind of tie in with this. It is the Tortured Poets department, so I think poems could be something she drew inspiration from, and it could be connected. So the first one is called The Albatross by Charles Baudelaire. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly at all. The poem is about an albatross being mocked by mariners for its largeness, but also its clumsiness. It could maybe be like an anti-hero song. Too big to hang out, the monster on the hill. Yeah, the mariners, which is kind of in the olden days, hunt the albatross down for sport and shoot it out of the air. Which also brought to mind the lyrics, criticize the way you fly while you're soaring through the sky, then they hunt and slay the ones who actually do it. I don't know, I know Nothing New is way too far back to have been connected to this, but I don't know. I don't know what goes on in Taylor's mind. She could have connected it now. A very common theme in Taylor's career has been constant public scrutiny and being vilified. So yeah, I really do think this could be an anti-hero kind of song, but I could be wrong. There could also be something else to this. The poem also ends up comparing the poet to the albatross, where he feels like he doesn't fit in. I mean, that is giving serious Tortured Poets vibes. Taylor. We also know that Taylor struggles with the idea of not feeling like a person and her life feeling unmanageably large, which sounds a lot like the albatross in the poem. So this song could be about Taylor feeling dehumanized. But there is also another invisible string, if you will, that is just very crazy to be a coincidence, but who knows. So in 1903, which of course equals 13, there was a fire at the Albatross Hotel on Coney Island. Hello. And the fire also spread to something called the Bowery nearby. The fire was started by a former employee due to unrequited love for a female employee who favored the courtship of the owner. The Bowery would later be rebuilt and became a location that Taylor and Joe would visit often. I'm not sure if this is like the same place though, but it was called the Bowery, and they also visited a Bowery hotel. So the Bowery Hotel is also where Joe's co-star from the movie The Brutalist, which sounds suspiciously like the Bolser, posted a pic of herself on the hotel bed while filming The Brutalist and tagged Joe in a lot of pics around this time. It's alleged that this is where the breakup, this is where the cheating rumor started, and this was around the time that Taylor and Joe broke up. So who knows what happened there? And of course, I'm not making any allegations, but Babe and Better Than Revenge are on the 5 Stages of Grief playlist. So, of course, Taylor played Coney Island and White Horse when announcing this. I mean, you can't deny that fact. There's also another poem about an albatross called The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. This is about a man on his way to a wedding who gets stopped by a mariner who imparts his tale to him. The synopsis of this poem is: the poem tells of the misfortunes of a seaman who shoots an albatross, which spells disaster for him and his fellow sailors because he was considered unlucky. The seaman, who is the ancient mariner of the title, then roams the world telling the tale of his cursed journey and eventual redemption. So, what happens in the poem? On an icebound ship near the South Pole, the mariner and his crew are visited by an albatross, considered a favorable omen. The ship breaks free of the ice and sails north, followed by the giant bird. Then, inexplicably, the mariner shoots and kills it, bringing a curse upon the vessel. After some confusion, his shipmates vilify him and hang the bird's carcass around his neck. So it becomes an albatross around his neck, which is another possible meaning that immediately came to my mind when I saw this title. Did Taylor feel like there was an albatross around her neck in the form of someone, or did she feel like the albatross around his neck or someone's neck because of her fame? In the passing of a ghost ship, a bad omen, presages the deaths of all aboard ship except the narrator. Lost and alone, he marvels at a life-affirming vision in the moonlight, and his prayer of reverence causes the albatross to fall into the sea. Following his rescue, the mariner understands that his penance for this destructive act will be to wander the world recounting his awful story, neither dead or alive. Now, the ghost ship is something that really stood out to me, because it goes something like this. When that strange shape drove suddenly betwixt us and the sun, and straight the sun was flecked with bars, heaven's mother sent us grace. As if through a dungeon grate he peered, with broad and burning face. Alas, thought I, and my heart beat loud, how fast she nears and nears, and those her sails that glances in the sun, like restless gossamers, or those her ribs, through which the sun did peer as through a grate. And is that woman all her crew? Is that a death? And are there two? Is death that woman's mate? Her lips were red, her looks were free, her locks were yellow as gold, her skin was white as leprosy. The nightmare, life and death, was she, who thicks man's blood with cold. The naked hulk alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. The game is done, I've won, quoth she, and whistles thrice. So this is of course describing the metaphor of the ghost ship on which death and life and death are playing dice. And when it vanishes, all the crew die, except the mariner, who is left as a sort of zombie to wander the earth and to tell his tale. This is something I found on Google to explain this. The sailors meet death, but the ancient mariner is given the gift of life in death. He is given the punishment of this because of his act of killing the albatross, and he bears this curse. He lives this life on earth, but he's kind of speaking beyond the grave. So he's not a ghost, but he's dead, but he's alive. So it's basically, I'm thinking some sort of zombie, which is recounting his ill fates after shooting the albatross, a phantom, a zombie. But yeah, the encounter with the ghost ship and how she is described, it just sounds like Taylor herself, a nightmare dressed like a daydream, blonde hair, red lips, devils roll the dice, angels roll their eyes. I don't know how this relates, or probably doesn't, but I mean, it's just uncanny. So yeah, the ghost ship is sort of a decider of fate. So is Taylor maybe going to relate herself as the decider of someone's fate who killed an albatross, her as an omen, which kind of neatly would lead us into the next song and final variant, which is the black dog. Now, there's a lot of interesting things about this. A black dog is traditionally, according to English folklore, interestingly enough, an omen of death or witchcraft, but it can also be like a divine protector. More modernly, the black dog is seen as a metaphor for depression, which kind of does fit the vibe of this album very well. It's also one of the stages of grief. There's also a Black Dog Institute in Australia, which correlates to the constant twos we have been seeing in their logo. And I forgot to mention in that poem there was also something about two. This also brings me to discuss the now infamous twos that have been teased ever since the Grammys by Taylor, holding up two fingers. Taylor Nation keeps posting that emoji in their posts. I mean, it has to mean something, right? Like, as I said, I'm not one for bizarre theories or conspiracy theories or seeing everything as an Easter egg, but like, this is all over the place, and the rollout for this album. So yeah, I guess we will know soon enough what it means. If anything, I'm hoping we will, or yeah, I just don't think it's random. So anyway, yeah, the black dog symbolizes depression and a bad omen, and brings to mind to me Dancing with Her Hands Tied, where she already had a bad feeling, a bad omen, and she had deep fears that this world would divide us. So maybe this could be a realization of those fears coming true, because I feel like that could be a possible reason for their relationship ending. I feel like because the world, the fame and the media and everything, I feel like as Swifties we've all sort of like speculated that Taylor and Joe didn't work out because he wanted a normal life. Holiday, peppermint candy, for him it was every day, and she didn't. I was chasing that fame, making my own name. He wanted it comfortable, I wanted that plain. He wanted a bride. It's just speculation, and I feel like this album is going to give us the actual story and how events went down, and maybe the song is connected to it. Another thing I just realized while watching a Swiftie YouTuber talk about Cruel Summer, he said that keeping love a secret can make it feel like a weight around your neck. So maybe the song could be about their actual love feeling like a weight around her neck, which also relates again to the albatross. Yeah, so this was the last variant to be announced, and we didn't get much more for a few weeks after that, until we got those lyrics on the 8th of April that I already talked about. And then Taylor did something so unhinged that we were all still in shock and reeling. She released a series of playlists to indulge the stages of grief theory that I hadn't actually thought was real, but then, yeah, she said she could relate to it. So she released these playlists, and yeah, everybody had a total meltdown. But my note here is that, okay, yeah, some of these songs hit me hard as well, being in a specific playlist. But that doesn't mean we can't still associate them with whatever it means to us personally. Like if you had Lover as your wedding song, why would you regret that? It's a beautiful love song. It's one of my top 3 favorite Taylor Swift songs of all time. And it will stay that way. She wrote it when she was feeling that way. Do we resent other songs in her discography because they were about a guy she ended up not being with? No, we really don't. We revere those songs, so we can still love it. Yeah, it does hit hard to see that that's how she's feeling about them now, and it certainly has an impact on how we view them and relate to them. That can't be denied. So let's take a quick look at these playlists and the tracks that jumped out at me. The first playlist is the Delusion playlist. I Love You, It's Ruining My Life. Here is where I was taken aback by some of these. To me, there's always been something about Lavender Haze that didn't feel super romantic. It always felt like something was wrong. Staring at the ceiling with you, you don't ever say too much. You don't really read into my melancholia. You weren't even listening. I mean, it sounds like someone in this relationship is not really very present, caring, communicating, listening to her, you know, noticing what's going on with her. My face was grey, you wouldn't admit that we were sick because you didn't notice it. Yeah, I don't know. Sweet Nothing also feels sort of sad and distant always, like, especially the line, you say what I mind, I say it happens all the time. Feels kind of ironic, like she felt this person never really got her and her mind to begin with. And he just wanted nothing from her. And it was during the pandemic, maybe. People are pushing and shoving outside, everything's crazy. And she was feeling stuck. I don't know, Cruel Summer definitely also fits here because it is on this list. I mean, I don't want to keep secrets just to keep you, bad, bad boy, shiny toy with a price. Hang your head low in the glow of the vending machine, I'm not dying. Well, maybe she was. Willow, I mean, maybe the invisible string, the golden thread, was maybe never really there, sadly. Or she realized that maybe there's lots of invisible strings, not just the one. The one. Snow on the beach. Maybe the snow on the beach was the delusion, because there is never snow on the beach, and I don't think, and that's why it was so weird, and if there were any, it would probably melt. And lost. Maybe she was unglued because she had to leave behind her ambitions for that sort of relationship that he wanted. That we are all speculating that he wanted. We don't know this, but I don't know. I think it's obvious. Glitch. I mean, 2,190 days of our love blackout, which is 6 years. And what is a glitch? A delusion, a temporary malfunction, according to the dictionary. To me, now Betty does actually make sense because it's about a guy being delusional that he could patch someone's broken wings after he done messed up. And it's also about a girl maybe thinking that things would work out. It's about a guy cheating on a girl. So yeah, there's all of that. And we also have the clip of Taylor saying that James was being foolish. That's very interesting. A false god also makes a lot of sense because that was about a physical attraction weighing out over reciprocation and communication. Ours also stood out to me, and this is confirming that she has known all along that we know who her songs are about. Because ours was always a denial song, as it is. It was about her not listening to people, as was Superman. Having those two are just confirmation that it just confirms a lot. Not just about Jover, but about her other relationships too that we've always suspected and been saying. I saw someone saying that she put Bejeweled on here as the last song because maybe it was like the conclusion and finally moving on from the delusion, which does make sense, but I would have put it in I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, so I'm not sure why she put it there. Then You Don't Get to Tell Me About Sad, which is the anger playlist. Vigilante shit, of course. High Infidelity, very interesting and revealing. Exile, of course. I should also mention at this part that all of the songs that were co-written by William Bowery about their own breakup, which is super weird, which is very revealing. Illicit Affairs, Don't Call Me Kid, Don't Call Me Baby, Tolerate It. This just confirms to me so much about Evermore and Folklore being about their actual relationship ending, and she had to pretend that it was fictional. I just don't understand how she co-wrote these songs of Joe, but yeah. Also, Better Than Revenge is on here. Babe is on here. Yeah, that's very interesting. Then we get to Am I Allowed to Cry? The bargaining playlist. When you would be trying to still make it work even though you knew it was over. I think this is in the lines of what Taylor said about this. Great War. This confirms a lot. This Is Me Trying. I don't think that's so much about their relationship, but it does fit in here. Peace. I mean, we can't deny that this what this is about anymore. And again, it just confirms who she was talking about, and maybe what she was talking about. That Joe wanted a normal life, and Taylor not so much. And fearing that this would happen, which eventually did because of her fame. Death by a Thousand Cuts absolutely fits here. This is the song on Lover, which points to things starting to fall apart in the beginning. The same with Cornelia Street and Afterglow. Just Cornelia Street even being on here is just tea. Yeah, Afterglow totally makes sense. It's more like bargaining with herself to to believe that she should be the one apologizing all the time, which is sort of like peace to me. It's that kind of energy. I mean, what more can I say? There's a lot of songs on here about needing to get your shit together, about cheating. Yeah, very, very interesting. Then we have Old Habits Die Screaming, which is the depression playlist, where we have Dear Reader, Maroon, You're Losing Me in that sequence, which is very, very interesting. Hoax and Coney Island are also on this playlist. I'm sitting on a bench on Coney Island wondering, where did my baby go? In Hoax, I don't want no other shade of blue than you. Depression. And lastly, the last playlist is I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. I mean, you're on your own, kid. That makes total sense. Midnight Rain, totally confirmed to be about Jonah. He wanted it comfortable. She wanted that pain. He wanted a bride. She was making her own name, chasing that fame. He stayed the same, all of her changed like midnight. The One, I mean, yeah, it would have been fun, but here we are. Also, this is super close to Invisible String, and this is a callback to the Eras Tour, because it was Invisible String was taken out of the Eras Tour set list and replaced with The One, and I feel like Taylor is being unhinged, because we all know who the song is about, and there's literally no other person the song is about. Yeah, so this hurts. This is an ouch that you put it here. She's saying like, I'm over it. The Invisible String is over. It doesn't exist. Yeah. August. Why is it here? I feel like it should be on the side ones, but okay. Happiness and Long Story Short makes sense. Long story short is long story short, it was the wrong guy. Ouch. It's time to go. While she knew it was time to go, she forgot that he existed. Ouch. She's feeling clean. She wants to begin again. Breathe being on here was like, why? But then Energy says she's sorry, so maybe she's sorry for a part of the conflict. And I guess that makes sense as the last song. But yeah, I feel like she's going to be taking that sorry back pretty soon. I think Joe Alwyn should go into hiding, and that we are all going to lose our minds on Friday. That's the only other thing that I can say. The only thing that could have made these track lists more obvious would have been if she put London Boy in the Delusion playlist. And I feel like she would have, but maybe that would have been going too far. I don't know. Taylor has also been giving us secret words hidden in songs on Apple Music. I think this is just for fun. Certain letters are being capitalized and the word needs to then be unscrambled. We got an I in the 13 on the typewriter of one of our IG posts. And it was, yeah, it's like the capitalized one because there wasn't any ones on typewriters, just an I. So it's an I. So far we have I hereby conduct this. I think the message might be something like, I hereby conduct this meeting to order. I hereby conduct this tortured poets meeting. I hereby conduct this meeting at midnight, or something like that. To end this video off, I'm quickly going to be ranking Taylor's albums before this new album comes out. So my honorable mention is Debut, self-titled, because I mean, it wasn't my first Taylor album. I'm not as familiar with it, and I feel like it's where it all began, and it's in another category, and it's hard to rank it. But for me, it's number 11. It had some great songs, but not all of them are my faves. So for the rest of the ranking, I've done it in groups, and it's sort of easier then to interchange it depending on what mood and era I'm in my life. But this is what I have for now. So at number 10, 9, and 8, we have the holy trinity of nostalgia, which is Speak Now, Fearless, and Red in that order. Speak Now is coming in at number 10 for me because it was my second Taylor Swift album. And Fearless would be number 9 because it was my first. And the nostalgia is like one step greater. Got me through high school, even Speak Now, but that was a little bit, yeah, I don't know. But I mean, both are amazing, and the albums are so special to me. Those were the albums that I would just play over and over again in my room every single day, and just sing my little teenage heart out to, and just feel all the feels. And Love Story is my favorite song of all time. Red, I mean, same. but I was a little bit older, and this album is also a bit more mature, so some of the songs really have a lot of relevancy in my life with things that happened to me. I felt like Taylor wrote those songs for me, and I wish I had listened to her advice more, because she told me in Red what I should and shouldn't do, but I still did some of the things. Okay, but yeah. Yeah, so Red has to be number 8 in terms of how much I listened to it, because at that time it was like the album I was listening to over and over again. These three are the albums that raised me, and I know every song by heart. Then we of course have the sisters, Lover and Reputation. At number 7 and number 6, Lover is going to be number 7, because it's like, apart from 1989, it's my favorite era aesthetically, and I really like most of the songs on there, but I feel like it just didn't hit as hard as Rip. But of course, Lover is in my all-time top 3 favorite Taylor Swift songs. Not the album, the song. And to me, it has a lot of songs in it that people don't really listen to, and it was less impactful to me than Fearless and Speak Now and Red and Reputation. Rip I'm putting at number 6, because I mean, Look What You Made Me Do triggered a whole edgy goth moment for me that lasted for a few years. And Rip is definitely one of my favorite eras of all time. Like the production on this album, I live for it. Although I've outgrown the edgy gothic kind of look, I still really love the songs and the album, and it just meant a lot to me because it really came out at the perfect time. And I feel like both of these albums came at a perfect time in my life when I was transitioning into young adulthood. So yeah, it just really brings up a lot of emotions for me. As do the Holy Trinity, so it's actually hard to rank one group above the other. Like, I would even go as far as to say that these two groups could be interchangeable. Like, you could have Lover and Rep at number 10 and 9, and then you could go Speak Now, 8, Fearless, 7, Red, 6. I don't know, I guess it just depends on what mood I am, where my life is at, but I don't know. I do return to Reputation and Lover more than I return to Fearless and Speak Now and Red, because actually recently a lot of Red, because I don't know, I used to listen to those albums so much on repeat. They're like imprinted in my brain. Yeah, so Rep and Lover only came later in my life, so I tend to put them on more because I don't know them as well. So it's not like I'm listening to something that I just know by heart. And they put me in a good mood, which is something I really need in my life, because I'm someone that struggles with low mood and anxiety. And like, especially Red, you have to be kind of in the mood for that. I mean, Fearless and Speak Now aren't really depressing, but they're also sort of really emotional. I mean, they have a lot of depth. So yeah, I would say depending on what mood I am in, these two groups are interchangeable. But yeah, for a while, Rep was the only album that I was actually listening to because I was in my edgy phase. So yeah, it's very important to me. And we have Folkmore at number 5 and 4. Evermore being number 4 for me, and Folklore being number 5. I sort of missed out on these during the pandemic because I don't know what I was doing. I was being goth and edgy and not really listening to Taylor all that much, and not being up to date with music after Lover. But then I did end up discovering them in like 2022, and when Midnights came out, I rediscovered my Swiftiness in full. And last year with the Eras tour, I literally became like a diehard Swiftie, like much more than I've ever been. Like, before I didn't know too much lore or who the songs were about or anything, but now I really do, and I spend a lot of time catching up on what I missed for those 2 or 3 years and really listen to her. I still did, but less than I had before. And I mostly stuck to like Reputation and Lover. I don't know, I started listening to everything again in 2022, but now I'm back in full force. Yeah, these just have to come before those because of their amazing poetic songwriting, and I'm a writer and a poet myself, so these just really resonate with me, and a lot of my favorite songs are on here. Then we get to number 3 and number 2, The Bejeweled One and The Pop Bible. Midnights and 1989. When I heard Midnights for the first time, I was in shock because this was something we had never ever heard from Taylor or expected from her. But I was vibing, and the first song I heard from it was Bejeweled, and it just hooked me. It became an anthem for me, and I got into it pretty fast, and then I couldn't stop listening to it at all, and it's been my go-to album for like the past few years, and it's also one of my fave sets on the Eras Tour, especially with what she wears. But I mean, our girl 1989, this would have been my number one if there hadn't been coming something new. And now it's my number two, I think. I don't know yet. It's got to be at the spot at the top because it's the pop Bible, and I'm a pop girly. It's the essence of Taylor, the pop star. Taylor, the pop star. It's my happy album. It's my anthem album. It's my go-to album, except for Midnights. I mean, Shake It Off was my anthem when it came out, and I still feel like it is to this day because I was a dance teacher when this came out who felt sort of left out of the studio I was working at, and who had sort of felt left out my whole life. This song just meant so much to me when I was going through that time. Like, you have no idea. Specifically because of the I'm dancing on my own line. I felt like she wrote that for me. And this album has a lot of my favorite Taylor Swift songs. And I mean, isn't Blank Space just the quintessential Taylor Swift song? And I mean, the addition of Is It Over Now and Slut just elevates this album above and beyond for me. Like, those are two of my favorite songs now, and this is my go-to album for the past few months. And apart from the Eras Tour, my fave concert and second fave aesthetic. And then coming in preemptively at number one, we have got to have the Tortured Poets Department. I mean, this is my vibe. This is me. This is going to be my new favorite album of all time, with my new favorite songs of all time ever. I'm claiming it. I'm claiming it. So before we end this video, I'm also going to be giving you my top two or just one favorite Taylor songs from each album according to the ranking above, votes included. At number 11, we have Teardrops on My Guitar. At number 10, I Can See You and Dear John. At number 9, we have Love Story, which is my all-time favorite Taylor Swift song as well. Maybe to be replaced, I don't know, soon. Number 8, we have All Too Well 10-minute version and I Bet You Think About Me. At number 7, we have Lover. At number 6, we have Look What You Made Me Do. At number 5 is The Lakes. At number 4 is Willow and Champagne Problems. Marjorie should also be on here and Tolerated. There's just so many. Then at number 3, we have Would've, Could've, Should've, Bejeweled, Karma? Yeah, Karma also has to be on here. I lied. I have like 3 favorites. Number 2 is You Are In Love and Is It Over Now from 1989. And then number 1, again I'm preemptively ranking the title track, The Tortured Poets Department, as my new favorite. And also maybe my boy only breaks his favorite toys, So Long London, But Daddy I Love Him, and Clara Bow. That's a lot. Yeah, but we will see. But I think I'm just so sure. And finally, to end this super long video, we just got another lyric, and it says, I wish I could unrecall how we almost had it all. I mean, if that doesn't say everything, then I don't know what does. So that brings us to the end of this deep dive video. I'm super excited for Friday. I'm super anxious for Friday. I'm going to die. I really hope we get some music videos. I'm going to be having my own little listening party on my bed with hot chocolate and snacks and chocolate because it's winter here, so it's kind of perfect. And I'm thinking in the evening of the release day, I'm going to be having some wine and listening to it again. I'm probably just going to be listening to it on repeat like a whole day anyway. So maybe by that time I can sing along. And I'm going to die. Yeah, and I'm not going to be able to process it. So yeah, if you never see me again after this video, yeah, check on me because I got into a state of shock that I can't ever get out of. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Yeah, happy Tortured Poets Department release week.